Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Scottish Property Podcast. My name is Stephen Clark and I'm joined by always my co-host Nick Ponte. How are you doing this week, Nick?
I'm all right, Stephen. All good. Pretty buzzing
Good.
after our online networking events. We had a good turnout again. So we're doing these every first Monday of the month. We're doing them. So if you haven't joined one yet, please join in.
Yep, and the Monday nights was Aberdeen. It was really, really good. You put me on the spotlight and you made me share some case studies, which was fun.
I think that's what people like about it, because they can see kind of the real numbers and the opportunities as well. So we had some really good feedback. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah. So this week we've got an exciting interview with Tej Singh, a podcaster and a property investor who has done phenomenal in, 9 months. He's acquired 15 properties, built a portfolio of £1.5 million, and he's put in hardly any of his own money. He's done a lot with private investing funding. He's done phenomenal in such a short space of time, hasn't he?
Crazy numbers, and a really kind of amazing story, actually. If you follow him on Instagram, he's got a huge online following. And I think that's obviously what he attributes his success to, basically, because when we asked him, how do you manage it? How do you fund it? He basically pointed to his yellow t-shirt. The Tej Talks brand basically does it all. And that's what attracts all the investment. So, again, it's a big lesson for people who are starting out to get building that online presence and that online brand, because that's what will bring the opportunity.
Yeah, and he's a really articulated guy. He comes across very well, and he explains things really, really good. His analogies were really, really good.
It was fun. It was a good laugh. The guy's got a good sense of humour, and I think you'll really enjoy this interview. So we'll cut to Tej Singh, otherwise known as Tej Talks on Instagram and his podcast. Hope you enjoy the interview, guys. Tej Singh, welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast, also known as Tej Talks on Instagram. You've got a huge brand on Instagram, so we're delighted to have you on board to do an interview with today. Tej, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I think this is the furthest north, I know it's a different place, but the furthest north podcast I've ever been on, so I'm looking forward to it.
So we'll hopefully get you a few more listeners from up in Scotland, because you're also a fellow podcaster. It's one of the reasons that I came across you in the first place, actually. So loving your work. Excellent.
Thank you.
I think to give it a bit of kind of context, and a lot of the listeners won't be familiar with you. So can you just give us a little sort of backstory to how you got involved in property, please?
Sure. So I went to university, biggest party, 3 years of partying, great fun. Lots of debt, totally worthless. I learned a few things, I suppose. I then graduated. I had like 40 or 50 interviews to get a single job, despite having a good degree. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Had a job in kind of pharmaceuticals, and then basically got fired after about 6 months because, frankly, I just stopped caring. I didn't believe in the ethics. They were like, look, you're just not the same. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. So got fired, then started a recruitment business because I thought, oh, let's go into something more ethical than pharma. And of course, what's more ethical than recruitment? So that went on for about 3.5, I think 4 years. And I think it's what you call golden handcuffs. I wasn't enjoying it, but I was making money. And so you're kind of like, where do we stop? Where do we draw the line? And eventually I just said, you know what? I can't be doing this anymore. I built up, enough cash to sustain me for about a year, maybe a bit more. I loved grand designs and amazing spaces. And I always love interior design and construction. It's a bit like science, the kind of how it works. So I kind of knew in my last year of recruitment, like, okay, let's do property, let's do something with what I really love. And I just did a lot of education, like, as in I didn't pay for any, but I read a lot of books, did a lot of this, did a lot of that. And then I kind of just said, you know what, let's do property. And then a few months later, I said, right, recruitment business, going to take it right down and then just focus on property.
What did you do? What was your exit with the recruitment business then? Did you sell that? Did you come out of it with a bit of cash or?
No, so I've still got it. It kind of functions as it pays me a salary for mortgage purposes and things like that. So it's my bank basically. It's sitting there until I do something with it.
Cool. So
Superb. And what strategies did you initially get involved in property, and what strategies do you currently do?
So I I started with wanting to do buy-to-lets. I think the kind of vanilla single let thing, whether it was a choice or it was kind of let's start with the basics and then we can learn that stuff later. I can't remember, but at the time, actually, I was looking at rent to rent, and I nearly had a rent to rent near Heathrow where I used to live, like, pretty much almost a day before kind of my offer was going to be accepted. I was like, I'm not doing this, because I didn't really put much effort into it. I clearly wasn't that interested, because if I like something, I go all in, and I didn't go all in. And did I need a rent to rent and some cash flow? No. But if I was to go back now, I would tell myself, listen, get 2 or 3 rent to rents, whether it's rent to SA and someone else manages it, whatever. Just have some cash flow, because they're not difficult to obtain and set up, can be difficult to maintain. But I would certainly have a couple rent to rents if I started again. But buy-to-lets is exclusively what I've done. I have one SA, but it's a buy to SA, and it is totally hands off. The management company are fantastic. I do pretty much zero.
Brilliant. So just buy, renovate, rent and refinance strategies then.
Yeah, buy, refurbish, refinance, rent it out. So, using investor funds, putting it in, buying with cash or bridge, getting out as soon as I can, which obviously coronavirus has been a bit tricky, and then going again and, leaving a bit in every time or none, depending on the deal. But yeah, recycling that cash and just going and going again.
there's a couple of things that you mentioned there about the kind of, people who are starting out, the rent to rent would be a good option for them. I totally agree, but obviously, there are certain things which I don't like about rent to rent, which is like, it seems like it's a kind of bit out of your control. Like, you're at the mercy of the landlord, and if, they could pull the plug on you and all that. So I did a couple of rent to rents, but it is pretty low risk, I think, as long as you don't like pump loads of money into it.
Yeah, I think, if you're doing a rent to rent in, I don't know, say parts of London or cities in Scotland that rent is expensive, you are then liable for a lot of rent. So you need to make sure you're signing up to these 3, 4, 5K a month properties to the landlord. You just times that by 6, as a minimum. You need to make sure you have that. So it is low risk, but you have to calculate it in that sense, right? Because it can get crazy if you let it.
Yeah.
Super. Take us back to your portfolio, because I listened to a couple of your podcasts recently, and I was amazed at kind of how quickly you've built up this portfolio. I mean, how long have you been going for, and what's the kind of portfolio looking like right now? Because I think the listeners would see my kind of amazement in it, how successful it's been so far.
So I think to date, I think I've been in property for a year and a year and a half, maybe full time. But basically, I stopped buying as soon as Corona hit and lockdown happened. I stopped buying. So in those first 9 months, I built the portfolio from 0 to 1.4 million, and that was a total of 15 properties purchased over the 9 months.
Wow, you are a busy boy.
That is mental, mate. I can't honestly. I set myself a goal at the start of the year to buy like 3 buy-to-lets, and I've only bought 1. And you've bought like 15 in just over a year. That's mental.
I think, you know what, it's incredibly stressful, and I never see it how you said it, because all I see is the absolute stress, headache, mistakes, money lost. So yeah, some money made, but honestly, it's it's a lot. And had Corona not happened, potentially would have carried on at 2, 3 a month, well, until now. So it was going to get crazier, but yeah, unbelievably stressful.
So for people who are starting out, right? Okay, people are trying to kind of comprehend this. These are properties that you're actually, physically buying. These aren't rent to rents, right? So this is significant here. So did you start with a big bag of cash? How did you manage? You're talking about you get private finance, but how can you just start out with having no experience in property and manage to propel yourself into that level?
So, it's on my t-shirt, it's on my top, it's the brand, like I started off with how much of my own money? maybe something like 25 grand of my own money.
So not a huge amount.
No, I mean, even in, like cheap places in England, Yorkshire, Liverpool, Wales, where I invest, it's not a huge amount when you take in costs, refurb, deposit, etc. So my first deal was going to be bridged, which obviously I had more than enough for a deposit. It was 50K the first house I was buying. The broker at the time, who I've never used since, totally messed it up. I got so irritated and impatient, as I am, or I have been, and I funded it with a family member. So they gave me about 25, 26 grand on top of that to kind of split the difference. I think I then maybe put in a little bit more. So of this, £1 million plus portfolio, I have probably put in my own money to the tune of overall, I don't know, 35, 40 grand is somewhere in the ether. It's in various houses. But as soon as I had that first deal, it opened the doors. People said, "Oh, you're an adult, you can buy houses, tick, tick, tick." Oh, and it was an investor. Yeah, it was a family member, but it's still an investor. And that alone, because people say, "Oh, how do I fund my first deal?" And the cold hard answer sometimes is you fund it yourself.
Yeah.
Would you give money to someone who has never done a deal before? I wouldn't.
No,
So as soon as you got that first one, did you just like basically plaster it all over your social media, use it as a case study, try to build up the trust, show people that you kind of like, you were credible, you were trustworthy, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly did. But now that I look back at it, I probably didn't post enough about that first deal. Like, just thinking now, I'm like, I can't even think of many posts where I wrote about it. So I definitely did, and it definitely helped. But I think, how it is when you're a podcaster, you're interviewing people are hearing your voice every Friday, every Wednesday, 2 or 3 times a week. They're going on your YouTube, they're going on your Facebook, so I'm basically having lots of different touch points, like a spider, with so many people, thousands of people every day, and I have no clue who they are, what they do, where they live, until we have a contact. And I think it was that continuously interviewing awesome people, showing my mistakes, showing the issues, that kind of got people interested. My second deal was funded on like a cross bridge. So that was no money in. I think I spent 250 quid on some legal rubbish, but that still wasn't investor funded. My third deal was investor funded, which was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 months from the first deal, right? But people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, "Oh, you got your deal funded." But it's like, hold on. I had to hustle for 3 months minimum and do this every single day, every single hour until I could raise that money.
And with those 15 properties then, I mean, with the investors that you have, I mean, I take it like, did you just manage to get like, a couple of like good, solid investors that backed you, or did you have to like find 15 different investors?
A good question. So I have one big investor who's probably, so in the 9 months, I raised £598,000. So no JVs, I don't JV.
Right. You basically take the money and you pay it back with interest.
100%. Clean cut, no marriage, no getting in bed together commercially. It's kind of in and out, done. Now, with that, I would say 300-ish of that has come from one investor. 75-ish has come from another. And then the kind of rest of it is a mix. I did an earn and learn program where people would invest with me. They'd get a lower interest rate. Of course they would. But they'd be learning with me. They'd have my mentorship. They'd have my documents. So I would say 50, 60% is, big investors, and the rest is kind of smaller investors, you could say.
So from your experience then, how you get these sort of statements banded about by gurus and people who sell courses where, you can invest in property with no money. Like, would you say from your experience, can that be done? And, how hard is it to be done with like no experience and no money?
I mean, no experience, I think, is the key thing here, because if you have experience, you can get money. So let's say, I didn't start Tej Talks, 2 years ago, whatever. Let's say I started it now with 15 houses. I'm going to get money quick, but I started it with nothing. So my experience now will allow me to raise money. So if you have no experience, you really got to ask yourself, look in your bank account, look at your hard earned savings, whether it's 10 quid or 100 quid or 100 grand. Are you going to give that to someone with no experience? Maybe, even if you have a first charge on the property, people are not going to do that. So I would say, if you haven't got experience and you haven't got money, what the fuck do you bring to the table? Sorry, you got time, but I mean, I think these trainers use it, and what they basically mean is other people's money, but they just say no money because it's not yours. But if you haven't got experience, is someone going to give you money? And if you haven't got money but you got experience, someone will give you money. So it's partly true, but I mean, how many people do we know who have had their first deal funded by a complete stranger?
Yeah, no one.
You can see how it's so easy for young people, especially, to get sucked in with that, though, isn't it? And then they quickly realize the kind of reality of it. But yeah.
So did you start the podcast before you actually started investing in property yourself then?
Yeah, so I think I started it like a good 5 months before I even did like a viewing. I don't even know. I just can't remember really, but it was definitely a good 5 months before I kind of really was like actually buying. I was learning, I was meeting people, I was networking, I was speaking to sources, looking at areas, traveling, and I guess I was finishing off some of my recruitment stuff as well. But yeah, I did it before. So I was just interviewing people. I was not talking about myself for a while.
Which it fast tracks your learning and gives you credibility, obviously getting them on a podcast and speaking to them, which is great. And
let's just shout out the Tej Talks podcast then, because talking about half a million downloads or 500,000 listens, like that's significant, man. You're doing a great job for such a short time. We know how difficult it is trying to do the podcast and keep up the consistency and all that. One of my questions was, if you follow Tej on Instagram, you'll see you're juggling all these refurb projects. You're building this brand, you're doing the podcast, and like, how the fuck do you manage everything, especially when your refurbs are like at the other side of the country?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I often get asked that. And the question is, you're juggling knives and flames, and you get burnt and you get cut consistently, continually, all the time, every day. There's just no. I mean, I think there's simple stuff which I probably don't do as much as I should, like using a Pomodoro timer to kind of focus on work, blocking your calendar out. I'm a bit more erratic. I'm trying to get into it, but I'm a little bit more erratic with it, which is actually probably a good thing, because I can jump from carpenter to writing my book to building a brand to doing a podcast with you. So maybe it kind of helps me. But I think one of the biggest things I've realized is, as humans and as entrepreneurs, and especially when we're new, we take a lot of time to go from a problem to the solution, and that time between the two of them costs us money and wastes our time and takes our mental headspace. So the quicker you can go, I've got a problem, to I've got a solution, the easier everything is to manage. You get a call, oh, we're out of materials. Go fucking pick them up then, you idiot. Don't tell me that. Go pick it up and then send me an invoice. As soon as you can say that and put the phone down, the better. The sooner you can decide between two offers on your flip, the better. So for me, I think quick decision making and being passionate and learning about construction and refurbs has helped me do that. However, as you've seen from my Instagram, I've had Cowboy builders. I've had to spend thousands later than I needed to. So like I said, I've been cut. I've been stabbed multiple times and burnt. So shit happens is how I manage it, I suppose. Like,
to go from that, I love that analogy. Actually, that's a brilliant analogy of that, and I can relate to it so much myself there when you were saying that. Sorry, my question was, when you go from kind of 0 to 15 properties in 9 months, what parts of that do you kind of outsource, and what do you do yourself? Like, do you source all the properties yourself, or do you engage a sourcer? And then obviously you're saying you're doing a lot of the managing the refurb yourself. Do you project manage every refurb, every trade, every material type thing as well?
Just make it clear whereabouts. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Steve. just make it clear as well, like where do you live compared to where you invest as well? Because obviously,
Sure. So firstly, when I was investing heavily, I lived in West London, which is it's 2 hours minimum to South Wales. I think it's about 140 miles to my nearest house, and then maybe 180 to my furthest. The 180 miles is actually a much better place to invest, but it's so bloody far. So yeah, it takes 2 hours minimum. The M4 had like 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, so it took even longer. Yeah, Stephen, so how do I manage it, or what do I outsource? I didn't outsource much. No, I guess I did. I mean, look, there was a point where agents were kind of not bringing me deals, but they would say, look, Tej, you need to offer this number, do what you will with it. And I would trust that and it'd get done. My solicitors are super quick. My broker is incredible. My insurance brokers, all the professionals, aka not builders, are incredible in my team. And I have no complaints, even about my solicitors, no complaints. That helped a lot. But really, I sourced the deals myself. Yeah, I had some, contacts and stuff who would give me deals, not sources. I don't know what it's like in Scotland, but in England, sorry people, but sources, most of them are absolute trash.
yeah.
So like I did a lot of it myself. Now, am I managing individual trades? I have been for the past month, which is why you've probably seen me losing my shit every day at someone. But before that, no, I had a master builder, to put it in inverted commas, who would manage his lads. I might get a plumber in, I might get a sparky in just because I knew them. But it was really me managing the kind of main builder, which, it was so much easier, even though he was a knob, so much easier. Materials, I only get involved in the swag. So plaster, concrete, I don't give a crap. Skirting boards, kitchen, bathroom, builder has no say in it. I am dictating what to do there. So to be honest, I would say that I didn't outsource any. I was editing my own podcast. I was doing my own social media. I was designing my own brochures, speaking to my own investors, speaking to agents, speaking to people, getting kitchens ordered, having beef with Magnet for getting orders wrong consistently, writing blogs. Like I was doing everything. It's exhausting just thinking about it. Like, oh God, I need a deep breath. But I should have outsourced more. But you know what? Sometimes it's tricky because you're like, well, like I enjoy, doing my social media stuff. I enjoy creating stuff, and like I can't outsource the, refurbs necessarily. I can't, but I should have got a project manager in. I should have got someone to sign stuff off, because that cost, I've spent it anyway.
100%, mate. That sounds a lot of the experiences there that you were describing. I mean, we can all kind of relate to it, but some of the things that really kind of hit with me when you're going around these refurbs and you're dealing with some of these builders. I mean, you have had some really, really cowboy jobs, some like really bad stuff. So give us a little taste of, some of the kind of cowboy stories, because I seen one was like you went and you took a picture on your Instagram. It was like all the central heat had been installed, but they just put the pipes up, not even connected the valves, stuff like that. Is there any other good ones for listeners that you can?
So that one was actually quite a good one in particular, because basically he had to install a new radiator in the front room because there wasn't one there for whatever reason, old house, and it's got a suspended floor. So you may not see the pipework. I thought, we all thought, happy days, you put it underneath. Well, good job, mate. Surprisingly good job. Anyways, I sent a plumber round, like someone I used to trust and who, I've now almost taken to court. That's a different story. He was just having a look, and he just pulled the pipe and he goes, the fuck? So imagine people listening, you got a radiator and obviously 2 pipes go into the ground. They just flicked around, like they were just like chilling.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were connected at the valves, but they went into the floor and then they weren't connected underneath. Yeah.
And also the carpet fitters would have put carpet underneath it. And I know trades don't get along and they all whine and they don't talk, but they didn't think to tell me, by the way, Tej, your pipes are just chilling. So that one, I was just like, what the but maybe an even better one, or not, because it's costing me $2,000, is Cowboy Chris, as we're going to call him, who I am taking to court, and he's all like, he's getting fucked, mate. If I see him on the streets, I'm gonna be smiling. He had in an electrician, also called Chris, funny enough, who's also a bit of a dick, and had the house rewired. Now, he gave me an electric certificate, happy days. I then managed to speak to Chris, the other plumber, let's call him Evans. I spoke to Evans, who had done this rewire about something else. And I said, oh, hey, mate. He goes to me, oh, Ted, yeah, we got to put the sockets above 450 for building regs. I was like, oh, you did the rewire and you didn't put it above 450 there. And he's like, oh, no. I was like, oh, maybe it's someone else then. I've never been to that house, mate. I've never been there. Okay. He texts me, has Chris ever put my name to anything? I go, yeah, here's the electric cert you signed. He goes, mate, I've never seen that in my life. I'm going to go around Chris's house and fucking knock on his door and sort him out. I was like, you do what you want to do, mate. I ain't saying nothing. Then I send a decent Sparky round who goes, Tej, the whole system is absolutely effed. You've got faults on every single thing. Rewire. And of course, it's got tenants in and furniture and carpets. It's not unsafe that it's going to blow up, but I can't keep it. So now it's going to have to be chased. And this house is gorgeous. Fucking trunking everywhere now, sorry, because it can't be chased. And $2,000, although he's already been paid $2,000. So, it's stuff like that is just, and people listening, don't ever let someone get away with this. As a matter of principle, I will spend £1,000 to take his t-shirt and his car and his house from him. I absolutely will, on a matter of principle. So don't let people get away with it.
I've got a very similar one just now as well. I've had to take legal action to get a builder removed from site as well. And, I was kind of listening to you talking about that as well, thinking, fucking even, you're on the ball, even taking it to court. I've still not even put in the flipping submission of the court application yet. Like, it's just, it's like you say, so much crap dealing with some builders.
Unbelievable. And you have to check up on them. Look, people, if you're investing far from home, you don't necessarily need a project manager, but get someone in to sign off work every Friday before they invoice you. They don't even have to be in property. Get someone there and say, look, here's what should have been done. Check it off, send me videos, and then sign off payment. Pay someone 30 quid an hour to do that.
Have you managed to kind of improve that process now? Have you managed to find somebody who check up on things? And that?
Yeah. So big up my mate Mario. He just sees me on Instagram. He loves the content. He said, Tej, look, you put out so much content. Let me help you. I'm local. Tell me what to do. So I met him, took him around, and he's amazing. He'll be like zooming up on a wall saying, Tej, there's one little scuff here and it's a bit rough. And he is like detailed too much, which is good because, I don't need that much on certain refurbs. The fact he's doing it is amazing. And the builders know, and I found much better builders now, but they know my boy's coming around. So you're not getting the last 20% till he's proved it off. So I do have someone who's doing it, but I'm not buying any more in Wales anyway. So it's done.
Are you? So why is that?
You know what? For buy-to-lets and to pull out lots of money, fantastic. The return on cash left in is incredible. Just like Yorkshire, Liverpool, many parts of Scotland, I'm sure. But on flips and even on buy-to-lets, right, the margins are tight. If you discover a problem and you got to spend an extra couple grand, you're dropping your return by 20%. Now, around me in Hertfordshire, where I live now, and even just generally, around parts of England and whatnot, you can build to rent and pull out all your money. You can build to sell, which is what I really want to do, flips, or even just do, flips or commercial conversions, and you make 10 times the amount of money, but it's less headache because it's local. And I'm like, this is a no-brainer. Like my flips in Wales have gone wrong, a lot of them, and they're not making as much money as they should. But if that was down the road from me, I'd still be laughing, I'd still be making profit. So I can't be asked. I just cannot be asked. The portfolio is there. It's fine. It's passive enough. I'm going to do some stuff around here.
At least
that's why I like hybrid type strategies. And I do have a lot of arguments with some investor friends of mine who believe that they should never ever sell an asset and should hold every single thing. But when I'm saying, well, if I'm flipping a property and making 30 or 40 grand, how long did it take you to make that 250, 300 pound positive cash flow per fucking month? Bearing in mind, you'll have tenants' voids and maintenance issues and pissing about and overspend on the refurb and stuff. So yeah, you're completely right. You can make more money doing other strategies, but the foundational buy-to-let portfolio is great if it cash flows right and it works well. The return on cash invested.
I absolutely, I love them both. I mean, I love buy-to-let and I'll keep building my assets and they just tick away in the background. They're pretty kind of low maintenance. Aim is to get 20 properties, but I also know that I'm a lot more passionate about, like you said, building something, creating something. I think that's where you can really get excited about property, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
I seen in your stories yesterday, actually, you were out visiting, it looked like a new build site, and some of that was fucking amazing. Like,
we actually visited one of the guys I was visiting, one of their mates or something is building one there, and he spent something like 60 grand on just purely on oak, because he's got oak beams and features throughout the house. And when you walked in, it just smelt like a forest full of oak. And that's the kind of stuff I love. Like, it's just having, and actually they summarize it really nicely. When you got a buy to let, you're doing a refurb, you're polishing a turd. With a new build or a conversion, all the walls are plumb, everything's flat, everything's hidden. It's great. I've never seen a flat wall in my life, mate. You think I've got flat walls? Like, it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, have a look at Stephen's got a good project going on at the moment. Hey man, that's like something nice. He's opened it right out, big bifold doors and all that. Really, really nice.
Yeah, vaulted the ceilings, a bit more creative, and it gets your creative juices flowing. Like as much as you can do. I've got a few refurbs on the go at the moment where they're buy-to-lets, and like you say, it's a plain shit. You've kind of just. Yeah, you put the basic stuff down. It's not that exciting when you've done umpteen of them. You don't get passionate about it at all. Whereas when you do a flip and you can get creative with a space and you can make something unique, and obviously you can appeal it to the market where everyone gets excited and pay over the asking price. Then these are successful projects and they're fun to do as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. So that's why I'm meeting people. Like I was meeting Mackenberg yesterday, because that's what I want to learn. That's what I want to do.
So is that the portfolio going to be as much as you build it, and now you're going to transition it into different strategies?
I would say so. I'm selling. So I've sold one, so it's now down to 14. I'm selling two or three more, and so I think I'll end up with say 11 or 12, depending on if I sell one of them. That times. Actually, I know we all say sort of 250 a month for buy to let is a safe thing. I self-manage because there's no management. I'm probably netting 320 to 360 per buy to let. My SA is netting, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 to 1,500. Depends on the month, obviously. So times that by 11 or 12. I'm good. Like if I want to, wear baggy pants and travel the world and be a hipster and shit, I'm ready. So
yeah,
you've
got no ties, mate. So
so I'm gonna leave it in Wales, but if I can build to rent, around here in Hertfordshire, and I can keep in, a little bit of money or none, then we build. But you know what? What if I do all these flips, Steve, like you were saying, make around here, 100, 150 grand? What if I put 30% of that into stocks? What if I give 30% to someone like me and I say, give me 10%? I'm building wealth and building things in different ways. And I think, like you said, even people miss that out on flips. If you got a chunk of cash makes cash. So, I can do something with that chunk, and it may not be property.
What about, obviously, that does excite me, doing the flips and making good chunks of cash and all that. But obviously, that's all well and good in an up market like we've been experiencing for the last 5 years. For me, the mindset is what we're sitting in at the moment is the writing is on the wall. And I've heard you talk on, I think it was like the Witch podcast or something. They were asking you about market conditions, pending crash, all the rest of it. What is your, what I'm going to put you on the spot. What is your what is your predictions, mate? What's going to happen?
Okay, yeah, good question. Like I said, I haven't been buying, and I'm not buying until I get the right signals. Now, you know what? It's a weird place to be, right? Because estate agents are as busy as they've ever been. Same with letting agents. People are paying above the odds, but we're starting to see valuers say, y'all are stupid. House ain't worth that much. Bring it back down. And things are dropping out. I've had it done to friends who are buying residentials and whatnot. You're also seeing auctions have their best years ever. And I'm like, hold on a minute. So everyone's unemployed. Furlough's ending. You're all going to be fired. The world is an absolute shit state. I can't even go to the gym anymore. I can't even go dance in a nightclub. I can't shake your hand. People's mental health is destroyed. all other diseases are now increasing in prevalence and not being treated because of these lockdowns. And you just think, hold on a minute, the world is kind of falling apart. We're falling apart mentally. The economy is just a mess. How the hell is everyone buying all these houses and auctions flying off the door and people overpaying? Like, I get people got more money, furlough, bounce back loans, you know, but like, we're just sort of like running on pumped up. It's like running on drugs, right? You got no food in your stomach. You're just running on injections of energy, of adrenaline. And what happens when that adrenaline runs out and your stomach is empty and full of chemicals and your nerves are shot? You collapse. And, you know, whether the market collapses, whether it's a Great Depression, you know, like in the American Railroad crisis or whatever, or it's like a 10% dip, or it's, you know, I don't know, but something is coming. And I think, you know, we're just kicking a can down the road, and, you know, something is going to happen. I'm going to say it's negative, but there's always a positive. There's always an opportunity. But, you know, people are losing their jobs. Why? How are they going to get mortgages? How are they going to buy our flips? How are you going to sell your house when no one can get a mortgage? I don't know. The writing's on the wall, like you said. Something's happening.
I think there's definitely a mindset thing, right? Because this year I set my goals at the start of the year, and I've been shit, to be honest. We haven't made hardly any traction, right? But then I look at Stephen here, sitting right here, and he's like probably had one of his best years ever. Do you know what I mean? And he's, you know, we've not been able to move the house.
By the stress lines on my Gordon Ramsay forehead.
Do you know what I mean? So there's got to be something there, you know, like there's, you know, it's down to the individual as well. On you pick up the papers, and they obviously thrive off I mean, I used to work for newspapers, right? So I know how it works. And obviously it's like the most negative story, the most doom and gloom, you know, headline grabbing story that they can find, but they won't tell you about all the, you know, the money that people are still making from property at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
It'd be like a 2% drop in the economy. UK economy plunges into recession. It's like, oh God, Daily Mail, fucking shut up.
I know,
I do strongly believe that you can make property in an upward market and a downward market. It's just exactly like you're saying, Tej, how you pivot, how you twist, look at the bigger picture, you know, make your own mind up rather than listen to the masses or the negative media. Yeah.
I mean, look, if you can get a deal, if you can buy it 20% below the already BMV you normally get, then if the market drops by 10, 20%, your end value works. But getting it 20% below what you're getting is not just, it's very difficult, of course, especially when everything's going above market. So yeah, but that's my mindset anyway. That's my view.
Steven's starting to come out with all these lines now, these kind of guru lines, like, you know, you can make money in a downwards market, because he is actually running a good sort of property workshop. And that was one of the questions that I was going to ask you. Obviously, you have got a book coming out. You know, you do a little bit of the kind of, I was going to say education, but you don't want to obviously be classed as a guru as such. So where are you going with that kind of side of things?
Yeah, so I've got a few mentees, like, you know, we do kind of monthly or ad hoc stuff. I've taught probably like 5 or 6 people. I have like a buy-to-let workshop that we go through everything in detail. So I have done some, but as you know, it's not public. It's not on my stuff. It's not, you know, you wouldn't know unless you asked me. And I kind of keep it that way because I'm trying to buy properties. I'm trying to build my brand. I'm trying to do other stuff. It's not a prime concern for me. But of course, if people want it and people want me to deliver it, then I will. So yeah, it's not really spoken about, but it's definitely there. And, you know, you have to be careful, because the second you talk about it publicly and you want to be an educator, you've got a whole different kind of judgment. You've got a whole different, there's a motive there. Even you can give hours and hours of free content. I've given hundreds of hours away, but as soon as you kind of say it, people just change their perception. So I am, you know, with my book, I am releasing like a kind of e-learning platform. I haven't really announced it yet, but I want it to be affordable. And I kind of want people to have something extra with the book, which I believe is going to give away at least 80% plus of what you pay for on courses. So might upset some people, but it's as far as I know, it's got almost everything in it. Certain things you can't have. So I'm going to kind of talk people through on an e-learning and show them, you know, here's how you use a spreadsheet. Here's how you do this to kind of supplement that, because you know, people don't always need £2,000 worth of a course. They might say, you know what, I want to learn about auctions or sourcing or raising finance. So I'm going to make it modular so people can say, look, you know, I just want to learn about one part, and hopefully it kind of is cheaper then and easier for people.
That sounds good. You did mention a lot there about, you know, haters and people kind of upsetting quite a few people. I'm assuming you've kind of done a fantastic job in such a short space of time. I'm assuming you've had a lot of haters come to you, like through social media, and, you know, bitching at you and taking little pops at you. How do you deal with that on social media?
You know what? I find property to be quite a positive community. So the main hate I think I had way early on was from another podcaster in property who's blocked me ever since, and just, I don't know, maybe he's really insecure, but he was just hating on me from day one.
We'll find out who that is later on privately.
And I mean, that's kind of the main thing. I mean, look, I painted some stairs blue one time and I put it in a Facebook group, and I kid you not, I had 164 comments. 160 of those comments were so rude and so distasteful. It's like a prison. It's like a drug rehab center. What were you thinking about some stairs? And I was like, I mean, you know what? Honestly, there isn't much hate, but when it is, all I kind of think is, firstly, which I think is important, I think is, hold on, is there truth in this? Is this feedback? You know, like, is that right?
Yeah.
Let me assess this. And then if it is, then, you know, I can say thank you. I don't like how you said it, but I appreciate what you said. If they're just totally trolling, I just kind of think, well, you know, who are you? Why have you got time to do this? Have you got nothing better to do? And, you know, they're probably, you know, would someone with a portfolio of 25 houses plus, would they hate on you? Probably not. Would someone with £2.50 in their bank account hate on you? Probably. So you just kind of laugh and say, well, you know, who's winning here?
Yeah.
I'm all good. You know, their opinion doesn't matter. Whose opinion matters? Yours. You and your friends and your family, the people you love, that's who matters. So fuck the haters, man.
Fuck the haters. Actually, quite. I don't mind getting them at all. I don't mind getting the ones that are just right out there and just say it. The ones that you get that are like sneaky, like passive aggressive. You know, there's a little agenda, but they're trying to be nice to you. But you know, underneath it, they're like, rah, you know.
Yeah. Those snakes, man. Snakes in the grass. Yeah.
So you're clearly a marketer, right? I mean, I'm sitting looking at you now and I'm seeing the yellow and all of your Instagram. The minute yellow flashes up, I know it's Tej. Do you know what I mean? So you have done a job there in building the brand, right? Have you ever been tempted as a marketer by going to the kind of like, you know, competing in that kind of like Samuel Leeds type space? Do you know what I mean? Because clearly you could probably do it with the amount of like following that you've built over such a period of time. Has that money ever tempted you to get into that?
I mean, I don't know if we can compare it to Samuel Leeds. I mean, he's a marketer. I don't know about his property investment skills or abilities. You know, I won't say anything for the sake of legality. But
yeah, sorry, I'm not comparing you to Samuel Leeds. Sorry, that's.
I'm a bit better looking, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? The money hasn't tempted me, and the money doesn't tempt me. Full stop. I look at the portfolio, and every time I buy a new property, I don't think, £300 a month extra passive. I think, what kitchen we doing? What handles? What handles we doing? What tiles we doing? What grout we using? What worktop? That's literally what I think. Until the day it's completed, that's what and then I'm like, let's see the pictures. The money is so secondary to me. And it's not because I'm a baller or anything. I'm fucking not, mate. It's always a struggle when you're growing. But, you know, I could do that. And yeah, maybe I'd clean up. I don't know. But because I'm so honest and I don't use Facebook ads and I don't use these lines like they do, I don't think I'd do that well, because I'd be like, listen, property is really hard. Do you really want to pay me $1,000 to learn how to do it when it's so difficult and you're going to take a year to become? And people are going to be like, nah.
I'm finding that same shit now as well. Like one of my goals I started this year was to kind of, we not had a bitch and moaning session about it, but one of the first podcasts we did, we spoke about property education, and we didn't like the moral concept of the fact that they charge you, tens of thousands of pounds, the high pressure sales tactics and the kind of immorals of who they're selling it to. So I thought, right, do you know what? I don't like being fucking negative about a situation. So I'm going to do something this year. And I set my goal at the start of the year to run a weekend workshop for And I was basically looking at the cost it would cover. I'm going to charge $1,000 and I'm going to fucking cram everything in. It's not going to be theoretical bullshit. It's going to be, this is the real life shit. But oh my God, see, when you tell people the truth, it is hard to sell a fucking workshop out. I'll tell you this. Like, no one wants to believe the stories and the reality. They want to believe that, I'm not going to say the Samuel Leeds, he's obviously an example that we'll all know, but I'm using that as an example. But no, these guys sell this kind of dream and this picture that it's easy and you can make millions, you can make money. See, when I put the reality on my Instagram, no one's going to fucking sign up for that and spend $1,000 for that. And I'm like, shit, honestly, come and see me. It's good. Honestly, it's real life stuff, but it's hard. And I completely relate to you.
I think that's the beauty about Instagram stories. And because I've been following you for a while, I would be very, very surprised. And it would be a complete turn of character for you to then launch yourself up on a stage with like hundreds of people and start doing a marketing funnel. Do you know what I mean? Because like the last one I saw, you were like, you bought yourself a set of headphones. It was like 200 quid. You're like, I don't spend money myself. This is a big deal for me. So you're not trying to portray that flashy lifestyle. So
I mean, I've got mates with Lamborghinis. I'll happily pose in front of them in a watch and borrow their Rolex and be like, hey, I've done parody videos of that and I will continue to do them. But that's how easy it is. If I know someone with a Lamborghini, multiple people, so do you, so does your uncle, so does it's so easy to pose and fake it. And honestly, yes, people do bad jobs, but come on, society, like people are stupid. Like people, to believe this stuff, we can't always blame the trainer. Like people are always going to take advantage of other people. That is the unfortunate world we live in. We as a society need to be smarter and realize these things. So, we can't just blame them. As much as shit as they are, we can't just blame them.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of good quality stuff's probably getting taught out there. But like you say, if people don't take action on what they're learning, then who can you blame? You can only blame yourself. But they will try and hate on this trainer. Oh, I spent $20,000 in this course and I didn't make me the money they said they're going to make. Well, did you do any action? Did you put any place for anything they said? No, they said it was going to. But I think it's probably the fact they kind of made out it was easy that they're going. As soon as it's not easy, they go, shit, this is not easy.
Yep. And that's the problem. You get hooked in because you think it's easy. You paid for it. When you get there, it's not, and then you don't want to do it because you thought it was easy. So everyone's to blame, innit? Everyone's a dickhead, basically. That's how I summarize it.
I mean, talking about, like obviously you must get some sort of inspiration from somewhere to kind of keep yourself, keep the drive and all that. So is there any kind of names or anybody that you follow online that you like looking at the content? Any inspiration that you look to?
You know what? It's hard to name a single person, and I won't name anyone because I'll forget people. But who inspires me? One is myself in 5 years. Who am I going to be then? What am I going to be doing then? Secondly, you know what? Anyone who's doing what I want to do, anyone who is, and at the moment, that's people who are building stuff, people who are doing developments, people doing commercial stuff. They kind of inspire me on a very business level. They don't necessarily inspire my mindset, but they inspire me to be like, whoa, you got a deal, 10 minutes from where I'm living. And that's an incredible deal. I have no excuse. So they kind of inspire me to be like, listen, so what? Nothing's on Rightmove. Get your fucking wellies on, knock on some doors, walk on some land and find something. So a lot of people like that inspire me to just take action mechanically, i.e. go send letters. These deals are achievable. Yeah. And then when it comes to mindset, I don't know, I like Gary Vee. He speaks real talk. He doesn't.
You ever get a bit like, I like went through a Gary Vee, like I go through phases, like I listen to him like loads and then I'm like, fuck, it's the same old shite. Do you know what I mean? And then I get fed up.
It's Americans, man. It's like him and like Grant Cardone just chat shit. 10x, baby, 10x. You're saying nothing of any use. Like, so for me, I mean, look, Tim Ferriss is great. I think I'm looking at his books. He's a great interviewer, but
stuff like that.
Yeah, there's no like celebrity that I really
do you actually listen to other podcasts?
You know what? I mainly listen to music in the car, but long journeys, I got audiobooks. But I listen to Tim Ferriss, my friend James Sahota, J2 Hub, my friend D Ludlow Street, like Tom Bilyeu. I listen to like health ones, and I do listen to them. I definitely do.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to add, mate? Because I think we're pretty much done.
No, I think it's been a good interview. People check out my book. Check the show notes of the podcast. There'll be a link in there. Or send me a DM. Follow me on Instagram. Happy to chat. Happy to help you. We got a 4-week lockdown in England now, so I'm going to be bored pretty soon. So let's do something.
That's crazy. I mean, like, we haven't actually gone to that. I think our leader was holding off until we got the approval from the UK government that we were actually going to get the furlough, because you guys down there control our money pretty much, what comes up to Scotland.
You should leave England, man. England just, fucking hell. Wales, England and Scotland should all split. That's what I'm saying. Let's do Brexit round 3. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I have no clue, but probably be happier without England. Most countries after they invaded them. Anyways.
Thank you so much, Tej. Thanks for joining us on the Scottish Property Podcast. And everybody, go and follow Tej on Instagram. Go and check out his podcast, and we appreciate it greatly. Thank you.
Check out his book, released on the 15th of November, is it, Tej?
Hopefully, if I'm on time, yep.
You've got no excuse now, you're in lockdown.
Yeah, it's true.
So hope you enjoyed the interview, guys. As always, if you've got any feedback for us, then head over to our Scottish Property Facebook page, Scottish Property Podcast, it is, sorry. You can reach out myself and Stephen on Instagram, where you can follow our daily stories. And if you've got any ideas for the podcast, we welcome that as well. Also want to give a wee shout out review. And if you've got time, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. So who have we got this week, Stephen?
So this week we've got a 5-star review from Stevie B2. Recently started my own property journey last year and take a lot from the Scottish Property Podcast. Brilliant content from Nick and Stephen, and look forward to tuning in every week. Thank you very much for that 5-star review, Stevie. Appreciate it.
Excellent. And we will be back next Friday with another interview. Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again, guys.